Good day everyone. I am Ernest Jules Belandres. I am here to discuss about the Article 14 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. It's about education, science and technology, the arts and culture, and the sports. First is about Section 1 is about education. The state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. For further explanation, the Section 1 of the 1970 Constitution is about how the state shall promote and protect the right of each citizens to have access to quality education and that is accessible to all citizens with equal treatment when it comes to educational system in our country. The Section 2. The state shall establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people and society. Section 2, Article 1 is about how the state shall establish maintain the state shall maintain a good and quality education that is relevant to the needs of people as well as to our society. Number 2, establish and maintain a system of free public education in elementary and high school levels without limiting the natural right of parents to rear their children. Elementary education is compulsory for all children of school age. Ang Article 2 is about how the state shall maintain a system of free public education. Ang government shall offer a free public education that is accessible to all from elementary and high school levels. Elementary education is also compulsory for all children of school age. Number 3, the state shall establish and maintain a system of scholarship grants, student loan programs, subsidies, and other incentives, which shall be available to deserving students in both public and private schools, especially to the underprivileged. Ang number 3 naman is how the state shall establish and maintain a system of in providing scholarship grants, student loans programs, and other incentives, but also for those who is deserving students lang, both public and private schools, especially for those underprivileged which doesn't have the right to finish their studies because of their financial status. Number 4, encourage non-formal, informal, and indigenous learning systems as well as self-learning, independent, and out-of-school youth programs, particularly those that responds to community needs. Number 5, provide adult citizens, the disabled, and out-of-school youth with training in civics, vocational efficiency, and other skills. This number 5 and 4 and 5 is about how the state shall provide those adult citizens and disabled. I think it's about the technical skills training which is preferred by the government under TESDA. Ang out of school youth naman is about the alternative learning system which give chance to those out of school youths individuals who wants to continue their studies despite of problems just like financially. Section 3. All educational institutions shall include the study of Constitution as part of curricula. Section 3 is about the educational institutions nga dapat ma-offer sang courses related to study of Constitution as part of curricula. Number 2, the state shall inculcate patriotism, nationalism, foster love of humanity, respect for human rights, appreciation of the role of national heroes in historical development of the country, teach the rights and duties of citizenship, strengthen ethical and spiritual values, develop moral character and personal discipline, encourage critical and creative thinking, broaden scientific and technological knowledge, and promote vocational efficiency. Section 3, Article 2 explains that all educational institutions must inculcate or develop ang patriotism and nationalism of individuals in the love for humanity. Also, gina-teach man, dapat ma-teach man ng educational institutions just like schools nga to respect human rights, ang appreciation of the role of national heroes, ang mga heroes nga nag-fight for our freedom, ang mga historical events in our country, and all historical events nga natabo sa aton nga country. And also, not only in those social aspects, also in our spiritual, moral, and ethical behavior man. Dapat ang mga educational institutions ma-provide man sa mga programs nga mga promote sa aton nga scientific knowledge as well as our technological knowledge. And number 3, at the option expressed in writing by the parents or guardians, religion shall be allowed to be taught to their children or wards in public elementary and high schools within the regular class hours by instructors designated or approved by the religious authorities of the religion to which the children or wards belong without additional cost to the government. Ang Section 4, the state recognizes the complementary roles of public and private institutions in the educational system and shall exercise reasonable supervision and regulation of all educational institutions. Educational institutions other than those established by religious groups and mission boards shall be owned solely by citizens of Philippines or corporations or associations, at least 60% of the capital of which is owned by such citizens. The Congress may however require increased Filipino equity participation in all public educational institutions. For further explanation, ang number 4 is about how those privately owned educational institutions must be owned solely by citizens of the Philippines or corporations nga Filipinos or associations at least 60% of the capital which is owned by such citizens. The control and administration of educational institutions shall be vested in citizens of the Philippines. No educational institution shall be established exclusively for aliens, and no group of aliens shall comprise more than 1/3 of the enrollment in any school. The provisions of this subsection shall not apply to those established for foreign diplomatic personnel and their dependents, and, unless otherwise provided by law, for other foreign temporary residents. Number 3. All revenues and assets of non-stock, non-profit educational institution used actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes shall be exempt from taxes and duties. Upon the dissolution of cessation for the corporate existence of such institution, their assets shall be disposed of the manner provided by law. All revenues or profits or kita sang this educational institutions that is used actually or directly for school purposes must be exempt from taxes and duties. Proprietary education institutions, including those cooperatively owned, may likewise be entitled to such exemptions, such subject to the limitations provided by the law, including restrictions on dividends and provisions for investments. Number 4. Subject to conditions prescribed by law, all grants, endowments, donations, or contributions used actually, directly, and exclusive for educational purposes shall be exempt from tax. Ang number 4 for further explanation is about ang mga grants, endowments, or donations coming from private individuals nga directly or actually ginagamit for school educational purposes must be also exempt from taxes. Section 5. The state shall take into account regional and sectoral needs and conditions and shall encourage local planning in the development of educational policies and programs. Section 5, Article 1 is how the state shall take action on or take account in regional and sectoral needs in order to have plans for in the development of educational policies and programs in our country. Number 2, academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher learning. Yes, this Section 5, Article 2 is about how academic freedom must be observed in all education, all enjoyed in all institutions with higher learning or good quality education. Every citizen has a right to select a profession or course of study, subject to fair, reasonable, and equitable admission and academic requirements. Yes. Um, each of us, citizens or students, have the right to select what course or profession we must study. The government or the state cannot uh, cannot um, please us to get this profession because this is good, but we all ourselves has the right. We must know that each of us has the right to select or choose what profession or course of study we must take. The state shall enhance the right of teachers to professional advancement. Non-teaching academic and non-academic personnel shall enjoy the protection of state. Yes, ang the state shall enhance the right of teachers to professional advancement. Yes, I think it's about how teachers get master's degree in order to be not to be left behind mga incompetent sila. And also those non-teaching academic and non-academic profession, it's in the constitution nga dapat all the rights provided for those nga sa state, they must enjoy the protection nga just like to those teaching staff nga gina-enjoy nila. The state shall assign the highest budgetary priority to education and ensure that teaching will attract and retain its rightful share of the best available talents through adequate remuneration and other means job satisfaction and fulfillment. Yes. And every year, I think the biggest budget nga may ara ang Philippines is it's the biggest gid pero is about educational system, which the government or the state provided enough budget for us, for those schools nga pa-implement more projects that could develop the learning skills of students as well as the schools nga mapanami pagid. The section 6 of article 14. The national language of the Philippines is Filipino. As it evolves, it shall be further developed and enriched on the basis of existing Philippine and other languages. Subject to provisions of law, and as the Congress may deem appropriate, the government shall take steps to initiate and sustain the use of Filipino as medium of official communication and as language of instruction in the educational system. Yeah. For explanation, the Philippines is known has the pambansang wika or the national language is Filipino. There are dapat may mga subjects just like mathematics the proposed or do proposed nga though dapat we must give those mga words in mathematics nga Filipino, but though it's hard, but I don't think if mag-work na siya. Section 7. For purposes of communication and instruction, the official language of the Philippines are Filipino, and until otherwise provided by law, English. Yes. Filipino is one of the important as it's isa ni siya sa mga language nga na ginagamit in our kalakalan or mga markets. It's one of the importance of Filipino. It's in order for us to understand each other worldwide, nationwide from different regions. The English is very important in communication and instruction. The regional language or the auxiliary language, official language in the regions, and shall serve as auxiliary media of instruction therein. Spanish and Arabic shall be promoted in voluntary and optional basis. Section 8. This constitution shall be promulgated in Filipino and English and shall be translated into regional regular language in Arabic and Spanish. Section 9. The Congress shall establish a national language commission composed of representatives of various regions and disciplines which shall undertake, coordinate, and promote researches for the development and propagation of preservation of Filipino and other languages. Yes, ang Filipino dapat as our national language, it must be developed as time passes by, constant changes. It must be propagated, and ang preservation of Filipino and other regional languages must be also be preserved, developed, and in order for the next generation to use. The section 10 is the science and technology. Science and technology are essential for national development and progress. The state shall give priority to research and development, intention, innovation, and their utilization, and to science and technology education, training, and services. It shall support indigenous, appropriate, and self-reliant scientific and technological capabilities and their application to the country's reproductive systems and national life. The science and technology is very important for our country, as known as to be Philippines is known to be third world countries, which ang development when it comes to science and technology is very hindi siya taman gid ka high. Science and technology plays a big part in the development of our country as this pandemic hit the world. The Philippines ang subong do may study sila about the tawa-tawa together it's under the DOST and some researchers nga to cure ang mga ang COVID-19 ang iya mga mild nga symptoms. The Congress, Section 11, the Congress may provide for incentives, including tax deduction, to encourage private participation in programs of basic and applied scientific research. So, scholarship grants and aid for other form of incentives shall be provided to deserving science students, researchers, scientists, inventors, technologists, and specially gifted citizens. Yes, this my the it has this DOST scholar which grant to those students nga have enough knowledge when it comes to research. And I think if someone do a research that is significant and this that is helpful, the government give incentives to those individual nga naka create some research or inventions. Section 12. The state shall regulate the transfer and promote the adaptation of technology from all sources for the national benefit. It shall encourage the widest participation of private groups, local governments, and community-based organization in generation and utilization of science and technology. The Section 13. The state shall protect and secure the exclusive rights of scientists, inventors, artists, and other gifted citizens, their intellectual property and creations, particularly with beneficial to the people for such period as may be provided by law. The Section 13 is for further explanations. Also, the state must protect and secure the rights of the confidentiality of those scientists, inventors, artists, and for their creations. Dapat ang we have this Intellectual Property Act nga naga protect to those mga properties of well-known researchers, inventors nga or artists nga dapat hindi siya maagaw. Or I think it's though kung sa mga paperworks plagiarism ang plagiarism is one of the law or I think nga naga-protect sa mga properties nga hindi pwede magamit, hindi pwede makawat. Section 14 is about the arts and culture. The state shall foster the preservation, enrichment, and dynamic evolution of Filipino national culture based on the principle of unity in diversity in a climate of free artistic and intellectual appreciation. The Philippines is very rich when it comes to arts and culture. We have this well-known artist nga known worldwide that promotes ang national nga culture, and also we have this rich culture in the Philippines that is need to be preserved in order for the next generation to be adapt na nila. Section 15. Arts and letters shall enjoy the patronage of the state. The state shall conserve, promote, and popularize the nation's historical and cultural heritage and resources, as well as artistic creations. The section 15 is also about naman how the state must conserve and promote ang mga popular nation's historical and cultural heritage and resources. We have this mga churches which is called as the UNESCO World under the UNESCO World Heritage, which plays a role in wars and or oldest buildings or churches, just like Yagao Church, or some churches that is significant in the history of Philippines. And also for those artistic creations, just like paintings or other um, invent art piece of art, the National Museum also protect this piece of art nga very important, especially those who is made by famous Filipino painters nga ma-preserve siya, in order nga hindi siya maguba para sa mga next generation, for them to endure the beauty of creations ng mga legends when it comes to arts. Section 16. All the country's artistic and historic wealth constitutes the natural treasure of the nation and shall be under the protection of the states, which may regulate its disposition. Just like this, Section 15, the country also, ang artistic and historic wealth, which called artistic and historic wealth, it needs to be under the protection of the state in to preserve and regulate its disposition. Section 17. The state shall recognize, respect, and protect the right of indigenous cultural communities to preserve and develop their cultures, traditions, and institutions. It shall consider these rights in the formulation of national plans and policies. The Section 15, for further explanation, the state shall recognize, respect, and protect the rights of indigenous cultural communities. Just like the Ifogaos, the state must protect their cultural community in order for it not to be extinct, kag ma-preserve ang culture and traditions which is important in their living. The government or the state must take actions in order for the preservation of this cultural communities and indigenous cultural communities. The Section 18. The state shall ensure equal access to cultural opportunities through the educational system, public or private cultural entities, scholarship grants, and other incentives, and community cultural centers and other public venues. The state shall encourage and support researchers and studies in the arts and culture. Section 19 is about sports, which is very timely. The state shall promote physical education and encourage sports programs, league competitions, and amateur sports, including training for international competitions to foster self-discipline, teamwork, excellence for the development of healthy and alert citizenry. The government or the state must ensure or promote the importance of physical education, and also to encourage the importance of sports programs. We have these league competitions when it comes to and amateur sports. Just like as students in high school, we have this in Iloilo we have this PRISA, which aims to develop sports and to help those individuals that has the skills to get a training that good benefit and improve their skills. All educational institutions shall undertake regular sports activities throughout the country in cooperation with athletic labs and other sectors. As I've said, the government promotes this so-called sa mga educational institutions. We have this, in high school, we have this intramural meet, then the division meet, or the CDS, congressional meet, I mean, and we have this regional meet, or the in college na we have this PRISA and other sport related activities which the educational institutions provided nga to develop the skills and importance of sports in the daily lives of our the daily life in our daily lives. um, for further explanations when it comes to sport, also for the just for the last Olympics, we have this first gold medals from Bahidilin Diaz. The government provided such incentives that could help those winners in not only Heidelin Diaz, but we have in boxing just like Marshall, Paalam, and I forgot those one name. The government provided incentives and benefits, and those for those who give the pride in our country. I think for to explain more, if there are someone who is nagatingala for nga amo gid ang kadako uh, ang incentives nga kanila. I think they deserve it because they give pride to our country. And in this sports, dapat we must give importance to sports, and to protect man and the importance of sports. That's all. It's about the Article 14 of the 1987 Constitution, and